Welcome. Today we'll do an introduction to GIS and review some of the basic tools for mapping. Before we begin, it is important to review why mapping. Maps tell powerful stories about the communities and the world in which we live. Maps are a visualization tool, a way to help us transform columns of data into useful knowledge about the people and places around us. So what exactly is GIS and how does it help us to map? GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. It's a method of digital mapping or computerized mapping that can show us where particular people are, or events, or things, or places. And it can also help us get more information about those places. In other words, it helps us link data to its geographic location. So what kind of maps can we create using GIS? You can map something like population density. If you have a population of interest and you want to see where in the world is located, you can use that. You can also map things like income levels or poverty levels. In this example, we have different annual incomes for cities in Orange County. You can also map particular things. So for example, we have this community assets map that shows the location of organizations that have community-led radio stations in the Seattle region. Another very cool feature about GIS is that it allows us to combine different data sets. So if you have a data set that has the location of pollution sources, and you have another data set that has the location of the incidence of leukemia cases, and you combine both, then voila! You get this very neat map that you can use to find patterns between and relationships between leukemia and pollution. So why do we need to create a map using GIS? So the most important thing is that you need to get a GIS software. Some of these softwares are free, some of them you have to pay for, but the most widely used are ArcGIS, QGIS, GrassGIS, Google Earth. The other thing that you need to do maps is data. So you need to get spatial data like the shapes of counties or states or cities, roads, coastlines, etc. And you also need to get attribute data. So this is more the detailed information about that geographical area. So this could be population characteristics, land use, trends, etc. There are important GIS concepts that we need to know before we can start mapping. One of them is layers. GIS works with layers. Think about tracing paper that you put on top of each other and it conveys different information. Or like the parts of a sandwich. Each has a different function, but together they can help us show the whole picture of the map that we're trying to convey. The other concept is features. So a type of features are points that identify a particular place with a single X and Y coordinate. There's also lines that represent linear entities like roads or distances between 2 points. And lastly, there's polygons. So these are shapefiles representing areas. So think about a neighborhood or an area in your city. Those can be polygons. There's also attributes, which we touched on briefly before. So attributes are non-spatial information about a geographic feature. The attributes of a river, for example, might include its name, its length, and the current velocity. And the attributes of a city might include the city's name, its population, the year it was founded, etc. These attributes are usually stored in a table and are linked to the feature by a unique identifier, as we will learn when we do our mapping exercise. Another concept is imagery. So imagery is any type of images, like the name says, which are usually photographs taken by satellite or an aircraft, as we can see in the picture down here. So now that we reviewed what we need to map, let's go by a step-by-step guide on how to create a map. The first step is to frame the question. What is it that you want to find out by mapping? So GIS actually helps you answer different questions. What actually exists at a particular location? Where is the best or worst place to place something or someone? What changes have there been in a specific period of time? What patterns can we find in the geographical data? And what can we predict if we change pieces of data? So once that you have the question, the next step is to gather the data. We want to get the most up-to-date, complete, and accurate data possible. We also want to consider the source. Is the source reliable? We also have to consider that data sets come in different formats. They can be tables or pictures or charts or even other maps. And this can be all in different forms. They can be printed, they can be slides, they can be computer files, or they can be files downloaded from the internet. When we talk about data that can be downloaded from the internet, there are three very important sources that we will be using in our training today. So much state and federal data are available online for free on the Census Bureau website, and these are called Tiger files. Also, many municipalities and government agencies have GIS portals that allow you to download data for free. And lastly, there's UCLA MapShare, which hosts a large number of data sets that you can download also for free. So once you have the data, the next step is to integrate it into the GIS system. We will review the process on how to integrate data when we do our exercises. So now that we have our data and our question, and we have integrated into GIS, we want to start making our map. So the first consideration is, what area are we mapping? Are we mapping a country, a state, a county? And we're going to add our spatial data. So we're going to add the shapefile for that area that we want to map. We want to add any roads or any freeways or any rivers or any coastlines, anything that can help us make our map look better. And we're also going to add the attribute data. So any characteristics that we want to map. If we want to add the population of that area, if we want to add the income levels, if we want to add particular locations in the area, that's what we're going to add. And then we also are going to add a legend and a North Star, and also a scale bar. And lastly, we're going to add a title that can help the reader navigate your map and say, what is this map about? And once you have your map, the next step is to analyze these results. So what is the map telling you? To do this, you want to be as creative as possible. You may need to change some of the layers. You may need to change some of the colors to make some smaller or bigger, something that helps your map really pop out. You also have to keep an open mind. Maybe the results that you're seeing are not what you expected, but you also have to consider other things. And lastly, you need to get feedback. Have somebody else review your map and tell you what can be done better or what is actually working. So remember, you need to frame your question, you need to gather your data, you need to integrate this data, you need to make your map, and you need to analyze your results. Now we are ready to map.